I signed the divorce papers with a steady hand, the pen gliding as though it had been waiting for this moment. He sat across from me, sweat glistening at his temples. His mother beside him, ringing her pearls like prayer beads. Neither spoke. They didn't need to. I had already won. But to understand why, you need to know how I learned the art of silence. I met Daniel at 23. He was charming in a boyish way, reckless with promises but careful with his smile. I thought I'd tamed him. He said I steadied him. For years I believed that. His mother adored me then, calling me the daughter she never had. She kissed my cheek at holidays, clasped my hands with too much warmth. I didn't see it for what it was, possession disguised as love. The accident came 12 years later. A car ran the red. Metal crushed bone. My world went black. Doctors whispered coma, indefinite, prepare for the worst. And that's when they showed their teeth. I didn't hear the chuckle myself. The nurse told me later. My husband had leaned over my still body, wallet already stripped from my purse. His mother had said, "She won't need it where she's going." They withdrew $150,000 within a week. My savings, my future, my life's work. The receipts were tucked neatly into an envelope, the nurse pressing them into my hand months later when my eyes finally opened. She looked at me with pity. I smiled back. Pity was useless. Precision was not. I never confronted them. That would have been too easy, too messy. They thought the coma had dulled me, that I'd be grateful just to walk again. They didn't notice my silence sharpened into something else entirely. I studied them instead. Daniel bragged about business trips, but his phone lit up with cruise itineraries. His mother wore silk scarves she couldn't afford. They were sloppy with their lies, arrogant with their spending. I took notes, and quietly I began. First, I called the lawyer. My name was still on the accounts, though they'd hidden funds in corners they thought I'd never reach. Offshore transfers, shell companies under his mother's maiden name. But arrogance leaves fingerprints. With patience, I followed every trail. Second, I made allies. That nurse who handed me the receipts? She introduced me to her cousin, a forensic accountant. People underestimate the kindness of strangers. They shouldn't. Third, I played my role. The weakened wife, relearning how to stand, how to smile. At night, I logged into accounts they didn't think I knew existed. I rerouted every penny to charities in my name. Funds for children's hospitals, shelters, research foundations. By the time they docked at their next port, their empire had been dismantled. I'll never forget the call. Daniel's voice panicked, cracking like old wood. There's nothing left. The accounts, Mom's accounts, they're gone." His mother shrieked in the background, a sound like an animal realizing the trap had closed. I kept my voice steady. "Strange, maybe you should talk to the bank." And then I hung up. They returned from their cruise sunburned and brittle. By then, the divorce papers were ready, asset division finalized in my favor. They tried to protest, but the judge didn't look kindly on theft, especially when the receipts were neatly stapled into evidence. My husband's jaw tightened when the gavel hit wood. His mother glared, but her eyes darted, searching for an escape she couldn't find. That was the climax. Not the shouting, not the betrayal. The silence. The realization that the woman they'd buried in a hospital bed had dug her way out and built their coffin. I didn't gloat. I didn't need to. Watching them leave the courtroom, empty-handed, was enough. Their wealth was gone, their reputation shredded. I had given their stolen luxury to people who needed it more. They had gambled that I wouldn't return. I had bet that if I did, I'd be stronger. And I was right. Now, as I set the signed divorce papers down, I feel no grief, only clarity. They thought money was power. They were wrong. Power is patience. Power is silence. Power is smiling while you plan the storm that drowns them. And as for me, I walked out of that courtroom lighter than I'd ever felt, knowing justice wasn't loud. It was quiet, surgical, complete, and it was mine.